Morning, afternoon, whenever you're watching this from, we have the most well-rounded week I could have ever asked for a weekly recap. So what we've got coming up today, an antitrust lawsuit, a really bad opinion piece, a hot new IPO, and a really deep, broad-reaching economic theory, I guess. Terrific across the board. So we're going to go in that order, if possible. We're going to start with the antitrust lawsuit. Amazon is being sued by the District of Columbia, like DC, which that writes itself, at that point. And the reason they're being sued is because someone in DC, I don't remember the name of the guy, sorry, bad reporting, I guess, but I don't think it's important. Either way, they are suing Amazon for basically pricing sellers out of the market with their own products. And Amazon's response to that, in a nutshell, was, why are you suing us? We're literally promoting competition by being able to do things more efficiently and make sellers need to cut their costs to get you person, the products at the cheapest cost. I can't wait to see where that goes. You have to think about a topic like that is difficult because they're not wrong. They are pricing people out of the market and they are able to compete at a much higher level than most sellers are. But then you have to put that aside for the second and just say, whenever you're on Amazon, right? So I need to get anything and I go on Amazon because I know that I'll get what I want on Amazon. I just type it in. The first one that pops up is probably the cheapest and going to be there the quickest, and you know it's in stock. You just click add to cart, buy, it shows up. You in that process, I guess it's hard I can't really assume that. I guess don't care about where it comes from. I don't pay attention to the seller. If it said Amazon with a little check mark or if it said Billy Bob down the road, I would not know. I just wouldn't. You're paying for efficiency and you're paying to get the product you want when you want it. So I don't think a lawsuit like this really has much, it doesn't really have any teeth to it. You kind of have to understand that Amazon's pretty much unbeatable. The reason that they're a problem for antitrust lawyers is because their business model is literally to promote competition. And what is the goal of antitrust? The goal of antitrust is to defeat monopolies and to create competition. So you're fighting a company that at its core is based on creating competition, improving efficiency, and just overall getting people what they want the quickest and most value-friendly way possible is probably the best way to say it. I'd pay attention to this one next week. I think it's probably going to fizzle out, but there's a chance that it goes through and put whatever he is, Jeff on the hot seat. And I'd love to see him on the hot seat. I think it's really fun whenever we keep these tech guys kind of on their toes, force them to improve, and that's perfectly fine. Their brains are all thinking the same thing. How do we do this better? How do we get this better all the time? So it can only help. It can literally only help us. Okay, so we're gonna move on. We'll do the hot new IPO. Acorns, which is a company that has probably advertised to you at some point in the past, whether you noticed it or not, is announcing that they are going public. They're going to be in the hands of the all-knowing, the retail traders these days. If I had to bet, Acorns is the new meme stock. It's the new GameStop. It's going to be the new AMC because nobody actually knows or cares how much money they're making. Nobody has their income statement on them. People just know the name. I've had plenty of random people. They say, John, how do I get started with investing? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, find a brokerage that, works for you, get your 401k, blah, 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 do all that stuff. And they're like, well, so I have Acorns. And I'm like, everyone seems to at this point. And so their whole business model is basically, look, take your normal day-to-day spending, feed us that information, and we will basically round the dollars up. Excuse me. They round those dollars up and invest them in fractional shares of companies, basically in order to automate your investing. So everyone does it differently. Like I do a monthly rebalances. Some people do quarterly, some people do semi-annually. But I basically sit down once a month, rebalance all my accounts, do everything like that. Most people don't have the patience or time to do that, and they just don't care. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a different system. So they kind of take that away and they say, all right, you don't have to change anything in your life. Let us do it. This pushes the story forward. I like it. We've made investing over the past few months pretty much accessible to everyone. And, the rise of the retail trading is something I talk about a lot. Acorns is another cog in that machine. I really can't wait to see what they can do with it. But taking it full circle, I would be willing to bet this is the new meme stock. People are going to trade it like crazy just because they know the name and they associate it with that's all they know about investing. I love it. So we're going to do the opinion piece now. I saw a really interesting opinion piece on the Wall Street Journal, and it said we should ban all cryptocurrencies. And that just I was in the whole time. I said, wow, this guy has no clue what he's talking about, does he? And I hate to bash anybody for anything like this, but God, what a backwards way of looking at everything. Holy cow. It's the argument that I have with people about electric cars all the time. They say, well, they're just not there yet. Gasoline is better, and I would never get an electric car because it's not for me at this point. And I'm like, so you'd rather stand still in the 1800s than try to move forward? Any movement at all is better than sitting still. And I'll argue that all day. It is, because even if that movement doesn't get you anywhere, that movement pushes ideas. It gets people thinking. And then eventually another Elon Musk comes along and fixes the problem that Elon Musk already created. So that's my whole point. Why the heck are we looking to go backwards in technology? When someone says we need to ban all cryptocurrency because it's used for criminal activity, well, people use the US dollar for criminal activity all the time. Cash is the one asset that you really can't track very easily. You can just have a bag of cash. So you're saying we should ban cash too? It's a stupid argument. It's like, I don't want to liken it. We're going to keep politics out of it. I don't want to go into it, and I never will. I don't want to say never. I probably won't ever. But the point being, pushing the story forward is good. Trying to ban something because it's used for something bad, even with all the wonderful applications it has, blockchain technology is going to change the world. Every time someone has a problem now, they're like, man, I really wish this was different. I sit there and my brain's like, oh my gosh, blockchain can fix this. It's kind of wild. We're not there yet, but we will be because we're pushing the story forward. And the final thing we're going to be talking about is the death of the gig economy. This is another piece that I saw that I was really digging into, and I had a fun thought about it. The concept of this is companies like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, they created the gig economy, which is you don't have to work on a salary basis. You don't have to work the 9 to 5. You are your own boss. You go out when you want to go out and make your own money just under our massive corporate umbrella, right? So what they did is they created a system for people and a way to be your own entrepreneur with a little bit of safety. And as times have gone by, this has been a big topic pretty recently. The Uber drivers and Airbnb people, Lyft people, they all said, well, it's really unfair that we have to work under these conditions. And, the big argument back was, we're allowing you to do this. You chose it. There's plenty of jobs available. We need workers in the US. If you're watching this from outside, we want you. We need people to get to work here. It's pretty bad right now. But either way, we recreated the 9 to 5 capitalist. we totally came full circle. They said, all right, here's your opportunity. Do what you want. And they said, yeah, this is great. And then, after doing it for so long, they said, well, we miss benefits. So now they're being recognized as full employees under this massive corporate umbrella. We went from total gig freedom, took it all the way around, landed back at capitalism. Well, it is what it is. Cycles are everywhere. I pay attention to that one too, because I really think it's going to happen again in 6 months. I think basically what we're going to get to is new services are going to come out. They're always coming out. New services are going to come out, and the people who fought to become the employees at Uber, Airbnb, etc., they're not going to change. People don't change, and I think that's a fine thing. The entrepreneurial spirit is something that is really good for everyone, and it pushes our story forward. So they're just going to shift where they want to go. And as the companies like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, as they mature, they get older, they'll become that corporate umbrella. That's not a bad thing. There's multiple ways of looking at that, right? But either way, paying attention to stories like this is really fun because of the cycles. We start to really think, we have such short attention spans. Think about what's going on in the market, like I don't want to call it equity, like, cryptocurrency and all that, like those markets. I do this pretty much every time a weekly recap, like what happened in this market, because something happens every week. Like next month, there's probably going to be a whole nother run and everyone's going to go crazy. And you've got the 3 billionaires that have 90% of everything. Give it a month. If you have a little bit of patience, you'll probably be able to see the pattern. Either way, that's all that happened this week. There was, well, more happened obviously, but that was the things that I found interesting this week. And I'll be back, of course, next week. We have Tech Tuesday coming out, which I'm really excited. That's going to be Tuesday, ironically. That makes sense, doesn't it? But either way, have yourself a terrific week, and I will see you next week and Tuesday.